on his way. Devil is on his way. Devil is on his way, motherfucker. The devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Fall to your knees. Devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way.
Mountain Murders is an Appalachian true crime podcast. Some content may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
We say fuck a lot. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Mountain Murders. I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
Okay, Dylan, we have a wild and crazy story out of Polk County, North Carolina that we have to discuss. But first, we have a few sponsors today. Who are those folks?
Yes, some very smart people over at Patreon. We have some new sponsors for today's episode. We would like to thank Robin, John, who came in at our highest tier. Thank you, John and Robin. And Heather, another Heather by another mother.
All right.
Thank you for sponsoring today's
Thanks,
episode.
y'all. Dylan, this is one of the wilder true crime stories to hit our area, in my opinion.
I agree completely.
So back in 2017, a woman named Beth Beamer was sentenced to a year in prison for stealing her mother's Social Security benefits. After she was released last month for, serving the sentence, she was arrested and charged in Polk County, North Carolina, this time for failing to report her mother's death and disposing of her body in a river back in August of 2017.
So, we saw this story a couple of days ago, and we were just blown away by the callousness of it, right?
Yes. Beamer, who has been charged with concealment of a body, failure to report a death, is scheduled to appear in court this month on May 17th. Now, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office, 48-year-old Beamer admitted that in August of 2017, she dumped the body of her deceased mother, Rena Hefner Beamer of Malden, South Carolina, down a roadside embankment and into a river in Tryon.
So her mom passes away. There's not been any reports of her having killed her mom, correct?
Right.
And instead of obviously doing the normal thing, calling authorities, she decides, I'll just get rid of Ma's body and I'll keep raking in the cash on her Social Security payments.
That seems to be the case. Yeah. So she, over the course of several months, was able to collect $69,000, almost $70,000 in payments.
Now, for one thing, her mom must have been getting a sizable Social Security check.
Well, I'm curious about that myself.
And, obviously it was over many months, I would assume, that she received the payments until the Social Security Administration became aware of the missing person case concerning their client.
Rena Beamer.
Yes.
Yes.
So
what is wrong with people?
when do you decide to do this? So I got to imagine if this is what you do after your mom passes, you literally throw her in the car and toss her out like a sack of trash somewhere down into a river. I got to imagine she probably wasn't that kind to her mother when she was alive. Would you agree?
Yeah, I have a feeling that she's probably been a shipbird for a long time.
Right.
And this is not the first shipbird thing she's done.
No, this is about as shitty as it gets.
Because you have to be pretty heartless to discard your loved one.
It's your
in
mama.
such a way, and then continue to collect money that does not belong to you.
Right. You're stealing.
It is blowing my mind.
Now, you think you could pull this off with me if something were, God forbid, to happen to me? You just, you learned how to move fat people when you were doing the morgue work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can get me into the car. I would have to assume you're going to have to use my Pilot. I don't think I would fit into your Mini because like 2 travel bags filled up that. And you just get rid of me and just keep collecting my paychecks because I don't even think they're going to notice I'm gone at work.
Well, I'm only going to be able to collect like one more paycheck.
Well, yeah, you should have came up with this idea long before the mills being closed.
I know. So now that you don't have a paycheck, you are no longer of use to me. And it's less difficult to just divorce you than try to dispose of your body.
So what I'm getting out of what you're saying is I'm safe now from being disposed of, and because my monetary value has plummeted.
You can mark yourself safe
Safe from my wife.
On Facebook's. I'm marked safe from my wife.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. And I'm just only going to have, menial, very low-paying jobs from here on out. I feel like my value's been too high for quite some time, and I've really been living on the edge. So I'm not going to make it worth you getting rid of my body. Okay? Does that make sense?
I mean, it's a lot easier if I just leave you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm seeking a new husband.
I'm glad.
Preferably a sugar daddy. A lot of money.
We're going to have to do auditions. Okay? We're going to have hold some auditions. I'm going to set up an obstacle course and tailored to being your mate.
You don't get to pick.
I don't get to be the MC.
No, because I've already made a really bad choice picking you. So I'm not going to no. And you're not, no. You're a bad choice, so you don't get to pick.
No, well, I already picked.
No.
So, you're going to get, the next husband's going to be approved by your previous husband.
That's not true.
It's true.
No, you have no say.
No, but in all seriousness.
I'm being serious. This was a serious conversation. You weren't taking this seriously?
This is one of the coldest things I've ever seen, honestly. And I just couldn't imagine how the rest of the family probably feels about this, because not only did, she conceal her mother's death and, steal from her, essentially. They didn't get to have the proper funeral and say their goodbyes and stuff. So yeah, it's a really horrible thing what she did to her mother.
It's terrible.
Oh my gosh.
She deserves everything that's coming to her.
And then some.
And then some. Absolutely.
I think they should tie her up in a tote, burlap sack and throw her down a bank and let her roll into a river. Yeah. Just get a little taste of what she did to her mom.
And then see if she can free herself Houdini style from the bag. And if she can't, then oh well.
Yeah, if she can Chris Angel her way up out of this damn sack in the river, then maybe we still put her in jail.
Too bad for you.
So the case you have is a very interesting tale.
Dylan, this case, I started out with my research thinking we've got an episode here. It's going to be 2 episodes. We're going to have a 2-parter because there's so much information. And it's just such a strange story that it's going to take a while to tell the entire story. Today we have part 1. Are you ready?
Let's dive in.
Alice W. McDonnell was born May 3rd, 1898 in Bay City, Michigan. All I can think is the Bay City Rollers.
Yeah.
Saturday.
You said they're pretty good, right? It's a derby team, folks.
The Bay City Rollers?
Yeah.
It's a band, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a rock band, folks.
From the 70s.
Sure.
That sang Saturday Night. And then I think of Mike Myers playing his Scottish dad, and So I Married an Ex-Murderer, and he's singing it with the Scottish accent.
Oh, my gosh.
He's like, Saturday.
I love how your brain works.
Yeah, I know. No, the Bay City Rollers is a band, Dylan.
Okay. Well, I thought it would be a great derby name.
Well, you're special.
Yeah, I know.
Her parents, Alice and Frank, were from Rye, New York originally. Her father moved quite often, having lived in Canada as well. Alice had 2 brothers, Howard and Frank Jr. Alice reportedly adored her brothers. Alice's life took a turn when she was 6 years old. Her mother, also named Alice, died of peritonitis following a miscarriage. Alice's father was poorly equipped to handle 3 children on his own, especially a daughter, so her uncle, Colonel Timothy S. Williams, stepped in. Uncle Timothy was described as a lovely and generous man who began his career as a newspaper reporter. He attended Cornell University. While working in Washington, D.C., he became a favorite reporter to President Cleveland's White House.
Wow.
Due to his career, which involved elite political circles, Williams was offered a job as private secretary to Governor David B. Hill. He was so good at his job that when the new governor took office, Roswell P. Flowers, Flowers kept him employed in the position and eventually hired him to work at Brooklyn Rapid Transit Company, which was Flowers' private business. Later, Colonel Williams would become president of that company. So, successful guy. Being a successful railroad man at the dawn of the century, Colonel Williams was considered wealthy and powerful. Williams valued family above all else. In 1895, Colonel Williams married Alice Kelly, who already had a daughter named Edna. Together, the couple were unable to have children. Williams was madly in love with his wife and maintained really close relationships with his sisters, Alice and Bess. So when his sister Alice passed away, Williams was more than willing to assume guardianship of his niece, Alice McDonnell.
Yeah, and that's something that happens in families a lot. And I think everyone usually agrees it's best to keep children in the family somehow, be it their aunt, their uncle, older sibling or whatever.
And though Frank Jr. and Howard remained with their father, Uncle Timothy kept a close eye on them as well. He sent the boys allowances and set up a trust fund for them. He paid for their educations and would eventually help them settle into careers. Alice became the apple of Uncle Timothy's eye. She attended the best schools, including Miss Porter's school in Farmington, Connecticut, which was considered one of the most elite schools for young ladies at the time. It was established in 1843, specifically for women's education. Alice studied astronomy, botany, geology, physiology, chemistry, Latin, French, German, trigonometry, history, and literature.
Do you think there's a benefit of going to a school that's all boys or all girls if you're one or the other?
Maybe.
You think it's easier for you to concentrate on your studies and stuff without all the outside social issues that arise?
Yeah, I think so. And then, I can't exactly name the studies, but I know there have been studies where when it comes to things like, STEM types of classes, like science and math, oftentimes female students won't participate or raise their hands for whatever reason, and they struggle in those classes. Whereas, if it's an all-female class, perhaps they wouldn't be shy or embarrassed or feel odd, participating.
I didn't think about that. It's funny because women excel at in these types of fields, and they're really making a concerted effort to give them more opportunity to get interested in these science and the mathematics, these types of subjects. But I never thought of that. That's a great point.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, if you get a better education or what the pros or cons would be. And, somebody out there might be yelling at me like, she's wrong. I don't really know.
I've always wondered if it was a good thing, or I'm sure there's pros and cons to everything. But yeah, okay, let's move on.
Once Alice finished school, Uncle Timothy sent her on an extended tour of Europe to further broaden her horizons. I wish I had an uncle that would send me on a tour of Europe.
Well, I wish I had an uncle that would pay for my education, set up trusts, make sure I get a weekly allowance. Sounds like a pretty cool uncle.
I need that uncle.
Well, this could be your sugar daddy.
Hit me up.
This could be your sugar daddy.
Yeah. It'd be awesome. I would go do all the things that I don't want to do with you.
And then he can send me the allowance to stay away.
No, you'll just stay away. Though Alice's father was mostly absent from her life, they did maintain contact, with her even visiting him for a period in Alberta, Canada. In 1902, the colonel purchased 100 acres of land in Huntington, planning to build a large estate. The land had a view of Cold Spring Harbor and the Long Island Sound. It took 3 years for the property to be finished, and it was named Shoreland Estate. The home boasted a bowling alley, a billiard room, a wine closet, and an electric elevator.
Oh my gosh.
It's a really big deal. The home was surrounded by beautiful verandas and featured a stable which housed 10 horses. There were also coachmen's quarters and housing for the gardeners. I feel like that's how you know you're rich, is when you're like, I have a coachman and a gardener.
Oh, when you have servants that
And
live
they
on site.
live here.
Yes, please retire to your quarters.
Colonel Williams was active in community affairs, including serving as director of the Huntington Hospital Association. I mean, that's how you know also that you're rich and important is when you serve on a board.
I've served on many boards in my life.
I'm sure you have.
I have.
Okay.
There's just no follow-up for that.
When Alice was 28, she married William H. Parsons Jr. The wedding was held at Shoreland Estates, and the couple honeymooned in Rio de Janeiro and Cuba.
Wow. These people got some loot.
They do. Alice and her new husband moved into an apartment over the garage at her father-in-law's country estate, Glen Cove. 3 years later, the couple bought a 22-acre farm in Stony Brook, New York, with Uncle Timothy holding the mortgage note. Sadly, 9 months after Alice's wedding, Uncle Timothy had a cerebral hemorrhage. 4 years later, he will die in an apartment in New York City, which was rumored to be a house of ill repute.
Oh, wow.
Uncle Timothy had left Alice a $30,000 trust fund, with the first phase given to her at age 35. However, the colonel's wife died from pneumonia, and the money from Shoreland's estate sale would set up additional money for Alice, along with other future funds that she was set to get. So Alice Parsons was left a very wealthy woman.
So not only the trust, she also is basically getting all proceeds from the estate.
It sounds like it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yet Edna Kelly, the colonel's stepdaughter, was completely left out of any interest in the estate despite having lived there nearly her whole life. The colonel left the bulk of monies to his sister Bess Williams and to Alice. Edna and Bess were bitter enemies, but Alice and Bess were best friends.
It's a very strange dynamic.
It is speculated that Edna was left out of the will due to her mental state. She had spent several stints at various sanitariums in New England. Eventually, she would move into a shabby house in Huntington, where her financial situation would remain dire. On June 9th of 1937, William, now that's Alice's husband, began his day around 6:30 a.m. by feeding their poultry livestock. Then he stopped by the barn to procure the new Dodge sedan that he had purchased only 3 months earlier. He drove to the house where he had breakfast with his wife Alice, their Russian housekeeper, Anna, and her 10-year-old son, Roy, who all resided in the Parsons home. William had a business trip to New York City, so after breakfast, he changed into a suit. Because, you can't go to a business meeting in your farmer clothes.
Oh, no, your button up and your flannel button up and your khakis.
During breakfast, everything seemed normal. Alice and William discussed Sammis Place, which was a home she had inherited from Uncle Timothy, and the maintenance required on the property. They discussed seeking services of a local painter in Huntington to perform some cosmetic upgrades, and Alice reminded her husband that she would be traveling to Huntington that day and would stop by with a note for the painter. It appears that Edna thought she might live at this house, at this Sammis Place, but that had been squashed pretty quickly. No one but Alice and William knew the house had already been rented by a tenant named Ruth Burden, and she would be moving in soon.
So Alice has this whole different idea in her head.
Yes.
But everyone else, except Alice, is aware it's being rented out. Seemingly.
That doesn't make any sense. That's not at all what I just said.
Oh.
No one knows it's being rented except for Alice, who owns the house now, and her husband, although Edna, the stepdaughter, had wanted to live in the house.
I got you.
Okay. So, turn your listening ear up.
We'll get the poo-poo out my ears right here.
It's just what you don't listen to anything I say, so it's fine. After breakfast, Alice and William discreetly discussed Roy's upcoming birthday, which was 3 days away. And Alice had given her husband a shopping list while in New York City. A quiver of arrows was one of the gifts that they wanted to give the boy.
Nice. Here's your quiver of arrows.
You are a quiver of errors. You're just a quiver of errors, Dylan.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, William mostly worked on the farm, and it was a meeting in the city which had only been arranged the day before. No one knew he was going into the city but Alice, Anna the housekeeper, and the people he was meeting in New York City. So at the time, William and Alice, along with Anna, the housekeeper, ran a small business at Long Meadow Farm. They sold squabs, canned squab, and squab paste to
Whoa.
high-end grocers.
What the hell's a squab? Do you know?
It's some type of poultry, like a bird.
Oh,
I've
okay.
seen them utilize squab on various cooking shows,
Okay.
right? But I have never had squab. From what I understand, just based on those cooking shows, I think it's like a lot of dark meat.
Oh, okay.
And it's maybe a smaller bird, like a game hen or like a pigeon or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Someone out there is correcting me. I'm positive of it. Now, the paste recipe had belonged to Anna, which made her a key part of the small business. Unfortunately, the business had not provided the kind of returns they had hoped, and the trio had considered dropping the business altogether. In the fall of 1936, the three tried one last-ditch effort. Anna had written a friend who had contacts with Makarov Company, which specialized in Russian caviar. A meeting was arranged for William, and they had hoped that the Makarov Company might advise them on how to make the squab paste more profitable. By 7:30 a.m., the couple headed to the St. James train station, which was only about 10 minutes from the farm. William went inside to purchase a ticket and then some stationery from a shop across the street. Then he returned to the car where he and his wife chatted until the train arrived. They agreed Alice would pick him up that evening from the train station in Huntington because she's going to leave a note for the painter, go to Samus's place, which is in Huntington. His wife took the car for the ride home. So he gets on the train, she takes the car. Anna stayed behind cleaning the kitchen after breakfast. Around 8 a.m., Alice passed Roy heading to school on his bicycle. He had left a few minutes early because Roy watered plants at a tea house in town that was near the school. It was closed when he got there, so Roy met up with some friends from school and then went back to water the plants before class started. Alice parked the car at a slight angle behind the house. She and Anna had a conversation about flowers, and then Alice made the beds and started working on the laundry. Alice inspected some of the pigeons for the day. She made notations on cards about the condition of these pigeons. And then joined Anna to bandage a gosling's leg, which had been injured the day before. While Anna and Alice worked in the kitchen, a garbage truck pulled up and two men collected the cans. Alice went to the basement to fetch a box of feathers and handed it to the garbage man without exchanging words. Like she just opened the door and handed him this box of feathers.
Okay. I'll be like, look, lady, you get rid of your own feathers. You can't even speak.
Around 11 a.m., only 5 minutes after the garbage truck left, a car could be heard coming up the driveway. A black two-door sedan with a New York license plate stopped about 15 feet from the back of the house. A woman sat in the passenger side who appeared to be in her mid-40s. Another middle-aged man sat behind the steering wheel. Alice went outside to speak with this couple. So, in the meantime, William arrives in New York City where he gets his shoes shined at the train terminal. He then went to Rogers Peak clothing store to buy a new belt. Then he went to Macy's to buy moth repellent, shoes, and the arrows for Roy's birthday. He also visited a Brooks Brothers store and ordered pants from F.R. Tripler and Company. He then went on to the 11:30 meeting with the Makarov Company. Now, at some point, Alice, who by now has, changed clothing, she finds Anna in the Bruder house explaining that she was heading to Huntington with this couple and that she would pick up a pot roast while she was there and bring it back for lunch. Anna saw her get into the black sedan in the back seat with the woman, which was directly behind the driver. So when William arrived at Huntington Station at 5:45 p.m., Alice was not in the designated pickup spot. He waited until about 6 p.m., then he telephoned the farm in Stony Brook. Anna told him that Alice had left with a man and woman who went to see Samus's place, and that, she hadn't seen her and he should probably just take a taxi home. He phoned Shoreland Estate, but the groundskeeper's son had not seen Alice all day. William then caught a train to St. James Station and arrived about 7 p.m. He took a taxi to Stony Brook, which cost him 75 cents.
It's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous price.
Now it's like $75 to take an Uber during the peak rates or whatever.
Oh, my God.
When he arrived at home, Anna came out to greet him, and this was around 7:30, and immediately asked, quote, "Isn't she with you?" Inside the house, William first called the groundskeeper at Shoreland, who confirmed again that they had not seen Alice all day. And then he phoned Mrs. Burden, who was going to be the new tenant. And she's like, "I haven't seen Alice either. I've been in New York City all day, so I didn't go meet her."
So now he's probably starting to wonder where in the world she's at.
Right. And who are these people that she went with?
Yeah.
Right?
It's odd for her to leave with someone that the housekeeper has no idea who they are. All
Right.
she knows is it's a man and a woman.
William then hung up and called police to report his wife missing. Now, do you think it's been, about 12 hours, 11 hours since he's seen his wife last?
Are they going to tell
Is he
him?
like jumping the gun, calling to report her missing?
I mean, you know your wife, right? I mean, within a couple of
Oh, I know my wife.
within a couple of hours, you know if this is out of character for her. It doesn't take long, right? You know what people tend to do, how they tend to act. And I'm just curious if the local authorities told him that his wife's likely just a runaway and she'll come back home soon.
Yeah, I mean, if they were to ask me, how your husband acts, I'd be like, he acts a fool.
Right, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
be missing.
Well, you might be, because you'd be acting a fool. So I don't
I'm
know.
usually in the room so I can aggravate you.
He's acting a fool, guys. 2 days before Alice went missing, she and William had gone to see an attorney to execute new wills.
Oh, wow.
She left $35,000 to her husband and asked that $10,000 go to Anna Krupyanova. I'm not saying that right. The housekeeper. The other money would remain in a trust to generate income for William for the remainder of his life. After his death, 2/3 of that income would go to Roy, and the other 1/3 would be split between her brother's children, so her nieces and nephews. Alice had been unable to get pregnant, Dylan. She spent 4 years trying and had even sought medical treatment for infertility. I will get that out. Doctors suggested that she was working too hard on the farm, which could be contributing to these issues with pregnancy.
Okay, I've never heard that one, but who knows?
You're just working too hard. This is the 1930s. Alice and William decided to hire a housekeeper. In March of 1931, Anna was hired after a few failed attempts at employing other housekeepers. Alice's ability to become pregnant and stay pregnant was a major stressor in the couple's lives. The couple had tried for 7 years to conceive, and Alice had suffered a miscarriage fairly early in their marriage. It was determined that Alice had a tipped uterus, and she received treatment, but none were successful. Or treatments, I should say. But none of those were successful. Alice's love for children was strong, and with a desire to have her own child, Alice took up with Anna's son, Roy. Like, she just was crazy about him. He was 6 years old when his mother began working on the farm. Alice immediately was smitten with the child and treated him as if he were her own son.
Yeah, it's really a tough thing when you see couples that are trying to conceive and they just can't, for years on end. And then, a lot of other people don't have any problem at all. Might even get pregnant by accident. You weren't trying, But it really is a tough thing. And that seems to be a lot of times all that those couples want.
I think all I got to do is just look at somebody and I'm pregnant.
Yeah, I just made you pregnant just now. So, yeah. Yeah.
No thanks.
It's true.
So Alice often invited her nieces to the farm, and they would spend summers with her. I mean, she was really crazy about kids, like really loved kids. And so again, she's very close with Roy, very close with her nieces, nephews. Mrs. Melville, a wealthy friend of Alice's, believed that Roy was the child of William Parsons Jr., and others thought the same. She spoke freely about the living situation on the farm and warned Alice about having Anna there.
So she really thought that Anna's son was Mr. Parsons.
Yes.
Okay.
That somehow he knew her from
And then
years
he's
earlier, and
yeah.
then he's bringing her there, and we'll get to why people maybe have these thoughts.
Okay.
William was 49 years old in 1937. His father was a wealthy industrialist who owned a New York City-based paper manufacturing business.
Let's go, paper makers.
His father had been a staunch crusader against lewdness and immorality in the city.
I think a certain amount of lewdness is acceptable.
Look, I love lewdness, okay?
Yeah.
I want it to be lewd and crude. After a few drinks, we should be stewed. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I think could be a T-shirt.
I like immorality in the city.
I love to visit dens of iniquities.
Yeah.
Yes,
If you ain't sinning, you ain't winning.
it's true.
The oldest of five, William attended Yale University. After graduating, he served in the Navy during World War I. After his service, William joined his father's paper business. William had gone to England to work for his father's company, and it is said that while he was living in England, he was asked to move by several landlords because of his involvement with various women and his unsavory activities.
So he is out there just slinging that thing around.
He's throwing it in everybody.
He's throwing it.
He's throwing it, Dawn.
And they're catching it.
Some are catching it.
They're catching a lot of stuff.
I hear if you throw it around enough, eventually someone will catch it.
It's true. I used to hang out with a dude. He was asked his idea was if you ask 100 women in the evening, to like if you want to hook up, one of them's going to say yes. And I think that's pretty good odds.
I am no mathematician.
Mm-hmm.
I made like a C in statistics. But those odds, I mean, that doesn't sound like great odds to me.
You don't think it improves your
1
odds?
out of 100?
Well, yeah, because if you don't ask 100, then you're not, you're not going to get anywhere. So I just think he's, doing his due
It
diligence.
just sounds unsuccessful.
Well, I don't have to ask 100, so there's that.
Because 100 out of 100 are going to reject you.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Nah. It's not how that's going to work.
Well, that's the thing, Dylan. They will keep you around maybe for like a few hours, but then once they get to know you, they will discard you.
I'm already good.
Okay.
After a few hours, I'm ready to leave anyway.
Oh, after a few minutes, you're
Yeah,
ready to
well,
leave.
I was
So
thinking about-
Let's be honest.
I was thinking about dinner and some light chores beforehand.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, maybe check her oil, in her car, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust me, checking the oil in her car is going to take longer than you. Okay.
Well, like I said, I'm good.
Now, upon returning to New York, William was introduced to Alice because both had families living in Rye, New York. Anna Kuprianova was born in Crimea, Russia in 1901. Her brother was killed by Bolsheviks in 1918. Allegedly, though there's not a paper trail, Anna was married at 17 to a man named Pataki who was killed in Caucasia, Russia in an accident.
Caucasia, Russia.
Caucasia.
That's got to be a very white place. And of course, wow, that's
Well,
pretty.
It's where the white devils live in the Caucasus Mountains.
It's
probably.
true, and then everything's pink. But yeah, so that's pretty interesting. So, was it her father that was killed by the
It's
Bolsheviks?
her brother.
Her brother. Interesting, and those, of course, are the people that brought Lenin to power. Yeah, the
Bolshevik Revolution.
Bolshevik Revolution. Yes, big time in Russia.
Yes, they killed the Tsar.
They did kill
They
the Tsar.
murdered the Tsar.
Yep.
Yeah. She was studying biology at university when she met a young man attached to the Russian army named Alexander Kuprianova. Now, due to the instability in Russia, she and her new husband fled to Turkey, then to Yugoslavia as refugees. In 1923, while in Yugoslavia, Anna reportedly gave birth to a daughter, but the child passed away before her first birthday. Then her husband left for America, leaving Anna behind. In 1924, Anna arrived by steamship in New York City to meet her husband. However, things did not go well at Ellis Island. They had already met their Russian quota.
No more Ruskies.
And she didn't have the right teaching skills that were needed, that they wanted from Russian folks immigrating. So she was denied passage and was deported. She was sent to England. There she met a man from India who was studying in London, and the pair moved in together. Anna wrote her husband confessing the affair, which he in turn filed for divorce. Soon, Hans Sony, her Indian lover, realized that Anna was pregnant. In 1926, the divorce was granted, and that is the year that Anna gave birth to her son. Her lover didn't accept paternity, knowing that she had conceived this child months before they had gotten together.
So you deny her entry into the U.S. at Ellis Island, and you deport her, but then you don't even send her back to her home country, man. What the hell? You send her to some other country.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
That's kind of messed up.
Why that happened or how that worked out.
There's no telling. That could have been where the steamer was going first, and it could have went on to Russia. She could have made a conscious decision to stay in England. Maybe she'd rather be anywhere but Russia because you mentioned the instability.
Anna was adamant that this boy belonged to Hans Sony, so she married him Roy Chandra and listed Hans as the boy's father. In 1928, Hans Sony returned to India, and he left Anna behind in England with her son. Soon he stopped sending money, and Anna was left to fend for herself as a single mother.
And that's a tough position to be in.
Who her baby daddy? That's what I want to know.
Who is her baby daddy? Han Solo wasn't claiming it.
Han Solo was not claiming this child, and her husband was like, and I know it ain't mine. Because you done been in England without me.
Yeah, that's how math works, honey. It's not mine.
It's not mine. On June 5th of 1930, with the help of her ex-husband, Anna and Roy were able to travel to the United States, first settling in Bridgeport, Connecticut, where Alexander, the ex-husband, was working. Now, eventually, she went to New York City to secure employment as a housekeeper, and she worked in several homes. It was through William Parsons' sister that Anna learned of the job on Long Meadow Farm. So she was hired in 1931. So because William had spent some time in England,
right,
and Anna had been in England,
oh,
this lady speculated that they had had an affair. William was this boy's father, and that it was all some master sort of plan to bring her
into the household. Under the guise of her being the housekeeper, the maid.
Right. And I don't think the time frame exactly lines up to work out this way. But then again, we don't know who the baby daddy is, so it could be William.
When people gossip, none of that matters because it fits their narrative they've created in their own mind.
Yeah, I mean, I've made up all sorts of rumors about you. It's great.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You have to share some of those one day.
Anna requested that she and Roy's name be changed to Cooper because it sounded more American. On July 7th of 1936, Anna finally became an American citizen. Anna and Roy were allowed to change their last name to Parsons to officially become part of the family when they gained citizenship. And this was 9 months before Alice vanished. By early evening, on June 9th of 1937, Brookhaven Township Police met with William Parsons at the farm. He told them the details of the day and how Anna had been meeting with this new tenant in Huntington. The police wanted to know why Alice met her if the house had already been rented, to which Anna explained it was about an oil burner. When asked who Anna was, William lied, saying that Anna was his sister. So according to Anna, she had gone out to Huntington to meet with this new tenant who wanted an oil burner in the house. And Anna had gone to try to see if that would be a possibility. And by oil burner, I'm assuming that's some kind of heating unit or something.
You mean Alice?
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. The A's are,
Yes,
it's
the
getting...
Alice had gone to
Right.
discuss this oil burner.
So the cops are like, why in the world would she even go out there if there's already been arrangements for a rental
Yes.
and all that? Okay.
So William is saying, oh, Anna's my sister. When they're like, who is this? He's like, oh, this is my sister, Miss Parsons.
Now, why in the world would he say that? That's very odd.
Very good question, Dylan.
Because everyone else knows damn well it's not his sister, and you would figure they would tell that.
Well, it will be the beginning of a string of lies. William told officers to call her Miss Parsons. The officers' questioning of William and Anna took about 15 minutes. One of the officers asked to see the Gosling that Alice and Anna had been working on before she disappeared. Anna seemed surprised when she discovered the Gosling dead. It was described as being in some kind of box in the kitchen.
Okay.
All right. But the officer noted there was a half-filled 2-ounce bottle of liquid in the kitchen from Kane's drugstore, and the label read chloroform.
Oh, wow. Damn, you could just go to the drugstore and get that? Interesting.
Yes. Well, you used to be able to just go get the cocaines from like the drugstore.
Yeah, and get your Coke with the Coke in it.
The officer managed to speak with Roy alone upstairs in his bedroom. When he returned from getting the child's statement, the bottle of chloroform was missing from the kitchen. The officer then contacted the station to tell the local police to be on the lookout for any reports involving Mrs. Alice Parsons. From the get-go, Anna and William began discussing it as if it was a kidnapping. The officer asked what made them think it was a kidnapping because they kept talking about finding a ransom note. Do you think there's a ransom? Do you think these folks want money from us? And this officer is like, what would make you jump to that conclusion that this is a kidnapping and they're after ransom money?
Yeah, there's been absolutely, up to this point, no evidence of that, right? No.
I mean, we don't even really know that she's missing.
Right.
She just hasn't returned home. And it's not been like days. It's been hours.
Right. But you're here talking about ransom notes and shit, which is kind of weird.
Right. Alice could be sick or injured somewhere, the officer explained. There was a second interview by an officer with the Brookhaven Police Department. And during this second interview, Anna continuously interrupted William, suggesting it was a kidnapping. And one of the investigators noted that Anna seemed to be wearing a smirk on her face the entire time.
It's very strange.
In the course of this 4-hour investigation into Alice's disappearance, 9 major lies were told.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hit something. Sorry.
By morning, additional law enforcement were brought out to the farm. A search of the property yielded the discovery of 2 axes, one in the chicken coop, and it had like dark clots, which appeared to be blood on it.
Oh my gosh.
The second was found in the basement of the house. Both of these items were seized by police, but they were not photographed at the time. During an interview with an investigator from the district attorney's office, Anna said, quote, "I am a woman of culture and nobility and believe that Mrs. Parsons was a woman of inferior complex, while I have a superiority complex. She just didn't seem to know how to run a home, so she was guided by my ideas all the time, and so was Mr. Parsons." Investigators noted that she used a past tense when discussing Alice, and they also thought this was a very strange thing to say about she's inferior to me.
Yeah,
I'm superior. I have culture and nobility.
Even if I felt that way, I would definitely not share that at this moment, right? I mean, you got to read the room.
And also, like, you're seriously saying this about a woman who went to this very prestigious school, went to college, studied, is from a very well-to-do family.
Probably just went out of her way to do for your son because she loves kids and took up with your son. And it's probably done a lot of stuff for you too. So why are you putting her down?
Yeah. And I'm like, and she's inferior to you because she doesn't know how to run a household? Well, that's probably because she's had servants her whole life because she's wealthy. And
the reason she turns to you for advice about the household duties
Because you're the housekeeper, you dumb bitch.
fucking maid, bro.
Yeah,
What the hell?
it's your damn job.
Yeah, but like she always wants to ask me about how to fold the linen and where to put it, and it just goes on and on. You know, it's almost like I'm her maid.
I mean, William's story changed when he was interviewed again. He said his relationship with Alice had been strained in the 6 to 8 weeks leading up to her disappearance. Now, in the beginning, he's saying, you know, we've got this happy marriage. Nothing's out of place. There's no reason for her to leave.
And this is my sister.
Yes, but now he's like, well, you know, things have been strained for the last 6 to 8 weeks. That Alice would spend half the day, like, not speaking to him. The trouble, he said, was over Anna, who he believed was a brighter woman than his wife.
So he's back in her play, dude.
Anna had taken charge of the home and the garden. When asked if he cohabitated with Anna, William denied this, saying no. And when they say cohabitated, you know what they mean.
Yes.
Is he like cohabitating in that vagina is really what they're asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, a third search of the Parsons Dodge revealed a letter near the footrest of the car. But in the previous 2 searches, this letter was not in the vehicle.
Someone's put it there.
Yes. The ransom note was not photographed in its original location, which, you know, obviously detective work was different back in the 30s.
So this is the ransom note found in the car.
Yes.
On the third search.
Yes.
Okay.
But they didn't photograph it like where it was located in the car. And, you know, so there's some question later about how it ended up there, where it was found. We'll get into that probably in the second part. So the note demanded $25,000 be delivered to a specific location within 24 hours. Alice's brother Frank McDonnell Jr. arrived at the farm, and he would become deeply involved in this investigation. When Frank heard of this $25,000 ransom, he phoned their brother, who resided in Los Angeles, to inform him of the situation. By the way, their brother Howard lives in LA and works in Hollywood in like a film studio.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that means he got moolah.
So now, as this situation is developing, Alice's family is finding out there is indeed a ransom note.
Yes.
Which would certainly change the situation, right? What you thought about the situation.
Yes.
It would become a lot scarier.
It would be very scary.
Now, not only is she missing, maybe hurt somewhere in a hospital, we don't know it, held over somewhere. She's literally been kidnapped.
But now we know it's a kidnapping.
And you don't, yeah.
Someone is holding her for ransom.
And we don't know if she's safe or not.
Exactly. By June 10th of 1937, the FBI was brought in to investigate. Equipment was set up to monitor incoming and outgoing phone calls. William's brother-in-law told investigators that he could pay the $25,000 for Alice's release. His name is, I believe it's Richardson Pratt, and he's like a very wealthy, very, very wealthy man. Now, the drop-off was at a Jamaica bus terminal, and they wanted this drop-off to be done like at 9 p.m. on this day. The ransom money was photographically copied with serial numbers being documented.
Wow.
The ransom payment for Alice Parsons' release was ready to go. And again, this is thanks to William's brother-in-law, and his name is Richardson Pratt.
So in essence, they've turned this ransom money into marked bills.
Yes, marked bills.
So they're in sequential serial numbers, and they have written, or they've tracked all of them.
However, due to the press, who had somehow obtained copies of this ransom note, the drop-off couldn't take place, but the FBI kept the money on hand to negotiate Alice's release. So they still are not quite sure at this point, how did the press get a hold of this ransom note?
Because, literally reporters at the drop-off zone trying to interview the kidnapper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The blood on the axe was tested and determined to be from chickens. The cells were oval in nature, and human cells are round. There were also some hairs found on the bloody axe, but those were determined to be from a dog. There were also some fibers found, which they eventually figured out were just chicken feathers.
Damn, man, the chicken's catching hell from the axe.
A witness named, man, there's no way I could slaughter a chicken with an axe. I don't know.
Oh my God!
Look, I know I look like I'm built for farm work because I got these shoulders.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if I'm really like, built for farm work.
I was gonna say you're physically capable of chopping somebody's
shut
head off. Yeah, I had a terrible chicken I needed disposed of, essentially put down, if you will, and I had someone come over and do it because I didn't have the heart to do it. The very thing you're describing, and the machete we had was so dull. And he just had to keep whacking and whacking. I felt so terrible about it.
Why are you telling? This is a terrible story.
Afterwards.
You should feel bad.
Should have been a nice, clean, sharp machete.
What were you thinking?
I don't know. I mean, who keeps their machete sharp in Haywood County, North Carolina?
Me.
I mean, how often do you have to, whack out a trail through the jungle?
Often.
It's not true. It's not true. You would not. You'd be like, look, I don't think we should go through this thick underbrush. And you would get back in the car and keep traveling on the road.
Look. I'm a bushwhacker.
Okay.
Okay, with my machete.
But you're not going to cut any chicken's heads off.
I don't know about all that. A snake, absolutely. I will cut the fuck off a snake's head, right?
Is that? Oh, you're double fisting it.
Yeah. So a witness named Mrs. Newton, no relation to the fig, who had been a resident of Stony Brook for many years, knew Alice Parsons during that time. And she claimed that she had actually seen Alice driving around on the day she went missing as late as 12:45 p.m. So like after lunch. The car, she said, was empty aside from Alice. She said this car was still gray in color. But then she identified the tan Dodge in the driveway as having been similar to the car that Alice was driving.
Those are quite different colors, I must say.
Exactly. Well, Anna suggested that Alice had a double in Stony Brook, meaning that Alice had another secret vehicle.
Anna, go set your ass down and hush. I mean, for real. Nobody wants that. She has a double, a stand-in.
She has another car that she just, a secret car.
Yeah. Okay. Makes total sense.
Yeah, she keeps it in the back cave. Williams said he was unaware of the fact that his wife owned another vehicle and, didn't know anything about that. The FBI found it rather strange that the kidnappers would place a ransom note in the floorboard of the vehicle, which was out of sight. They were like, wouldn't they put it on the seat or up on the dashboard in a very visible spot? You'd stick it in the steering wheel where someone would find it immediately, but to put it down in the floorboard.
Well, yeah, there's a chance someone can mush it up under the seat or, stick to someone's foot when they get out of the car.
It's trash and throw it away.
Yeah, so I agree. That's kind of odd.
J. Edgar Hoover advised his agents to clear the farm of anyone outside the Parsons family, and that William should make a public statement asking bystanders, press, and additional law enforcement who had gathered, because now it had become more of like a social scene, the crime scene, to clear out so the FBI could do their job. By 5 p.m. on June 10th, Inspector E.J. Connolly, considered the FBI's best of the best, arrived at the farm to take on the case. He had worked many prominent kidnappings and gangster-related crime cases of that time, and he was a favorite of J. Edgar Hoover. 15 FBI agents and supervisors established a headquarters 2 miles away from the farm. They rented an entire 2-story house in Stony Brook to serve as their home base and to house these investigators. So they're like taking this very seriously.
So yeah, that's a pretty big team, 15 agents to bring in on a case.
2 agents secretly entered the Parsons' home under the cover of darkness to establish their recovery operation. Inspector Connolly would be interviewing Anna and William again, which by now is about the 8th time they have been interviewed in 24 hours.
Wow.
William's interview didn't change much from the other ones. He described the day and the details surrounding the last time he had seen his wife. Impressions relayed by Inspector Connolly in his notes were, quote, "Mr. Parsons is a weak sister, and it is difficult to get much out of him. The woman is crafty."
A weak sister.
A weak sister.
What the hell, dude?
I don't know, but I want to start calling people a weak sister. That's like a great insult.
That's
right?
pretty good.
The business, he wrote, appeared to be the hobby of a man living on his wife's money, meaning their farm.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Their squab business.
And their squab paste business, which I got to assume is some type of delicacy.
Well, I'm just wondering what you do with squab paste.
I guess the same thing you do with pate and all that.
Do you make like a chicken broth with it? Is it like...
You eat it on a cracker, dude.
You do? You think so?
Yeah, on a Ritz. Everything goes good on a Ritz. It's that buttery goodness. Ritz, the crunchiest cracker out there.
I'm not a huge fan of Ritz crackers.
Why? You don't like Ritz? Bro, I ripped through a whole sleeve. I can't stop eating them.
I know you love them. I don't hate a Ritz, but if I'm buying a cracker, it's not my top choice.
Okay.
Right? Like a Ritz is probably like my 5th or 6th choice
for
a cracker.
Okay. I mean, I guess you learn things.
Look, I love a Triscuit, okay? Can't go wrong.
I'm a big fan of the Triscuit, but
I love
really...
the sea salt and cracked black pepper Triscuits, okay?
I really don't think they're in the same category, personally, for me.
The chicken and a biscuit cracker.
Chicken and a biscuit, top 3, baby.
Them crackers, good.
But you can just eat those crackers by themselves.
Yeah, you can.
And they have a very, very specific taste. All right, moving on. I want to get a box of those.
I do. Analyzing the ransom note, it was determined to be written on hammer mill paper, and it was actually watermarked with Chronicon USA. There were only 10 Woolworth stores on Long Island selling this particular brand of paper, and one of those was located about 13 miles away in Patchogue.
Now, it's very interesting. The watermark is actually put on the paper very early on in the process.
Is it?
It would actually be a symbol or whatever you're using for the watermark. It's actually on the roll. One of the rolls that goes across early on when it's still very, very wet.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Hence the term watermark. So it's almost like a indentation almost. It's just a very distinct shape or on the paper. That you sometimes have to hold up to the light to see it.
Exactly.
Yes.
I've bought fancy paper before with a watermark.
Is that fancy paper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like resume paper.
Ooh.
A good quality, like heavy duty paper.
Like this is
watermark.
This is high quality card stock.
Yes.
We should make business cards out of this, like an American Psycho.
The subtle ivory. Yeah. So hampering the investigation was a clash between, of course, local police and the FBI.
Nah, this never happens. Not the pissing contest between agencies.
Oh, yeah. And though the FBI had completely taken over the investigation into Alice's disappearance, local law enforcement was still interviewing people, and they even brought in Anna's ex-husband, Alexander, as a, quote, suspect. So they're doing this behind the FBI's back.
Anna's ex-husband as a suspect?
Yeah.
Okay. That doesn't really track for me, but...
It's local police, Dylan. Who knows what they're thinking?
Okay.
Now, June 12th was Roy's birthday, which was spent at the farmhouse with his mother, Anna. He was also packing for a 2-day trip to stay with William's sister and brother-in-law in Glen Cove. William wasn't holding up well under pressure. His sister Laura had received a threatening letter in the mail claiming that she would face the same fate as Anna. Her husband hired Pinkerton agents to work as security on their property. Because, again, Richardson Pratt loaded.
Yes.
He's just going to hire some
get
private
some
security.
Pinkerton detectives.
Yes. Agents were able to determine discrepancies in Anna's story when they interviewed her ex-husband, Alexander. Now, he admitted that Anna had lied about Roy being his child and that Anna had been unfaithful during their marriage. On June 15th, Howard, Alice's brother, arrived from Hollywood, California. He would become the face of the family in their efforts to return Alice safely. By now, the town of Stony Brook was overrun with reporters, and it was described as a carnival. Another search of the farmhouse uncovered a pair of blood-stained socks belonging to Alice. Testing determined it was human blood. Paper found in Roy's bedroom matched the Chronicon USA watermark found on the ransom note.
So this is not this is specific traceable paper.
Yes.
That they can tell where it's sold in the area.
Yes.
And they can also compare two pieces and see if it's the same paper.
Seems to be the case.
Oh, God.
Now, at this point, Anna admitted she had bought writing paper from the Woolworth in Patchogue, which matched both the ransom note and Roy's paper, which he had drawn airplanes on in his bedroom.
Wow. So from an investigator's perspective, I think this would be a key development.
Well, yeah.
When you got the ransom note on this specific, very obvious type of paper, and then you find a connection, you find that same paper in the house. No matter where you would find it, I think that would give you pause.
Yes.
Let alone in her son's room.
With little airplanes drawn
With
on
little
it.
airplanes.
Isn't that cute?
Oh, and then it says on the bottom, "My mom's a killer." Love you, Mom.
Every tool on the farm was examined for human blood, as were any stained clothing. That included work clothes, coveralls, gloves, and rags found in the outbuildings and around the property. Cisterns were examined on the property, with an agent being sent 11 feet down to check the materials at the bottom. That sounds gross.
Yeah, because those are going to be gross, nasty, kind of like rotting, stagnant water. Basically, if I'm not mistaken, those are just for like runoff and stuff like
Nobody
drainage.
wanted to do that job. They sent Cousin Greg to do that job because nobody wanted to do that job.
Yes.
I'm kidding. I don't even know if Alice had a Cousin Greg. A massive ground search was planned for the 8 square mile radius around the farm. 115 volunteers and officers were brought in to conduct the largest and longest ground search ever conducted on Long Island.
And I'm sure they would have done this exact same effort if this had been from an impoverished family with no business or monetary connections.
How did you know, Dylan?
Because that's how they treat everyone.
Because they treat everybody with
And
this
that's
kind
what
of-
I like about the
with this
FBI.
importance.
Of course.
It was expected to take place for 5 days. The area they searched included cultivated fields, woodlands, and roads. Bloodhounds were used to assist in the search. The search was incredibly thorough, but no sign of Alice appeared. I mean, there was nothing, no clue, no sign of the missing woman. It was impossible for her body to be within 8 square miles of the farm, according to the FBI, because they had a very specific, like a grid search. They were really checking everything they could.
So there's no way she's anywhere near the home.
That is what the FBI is saying, yes. False sightings of Alice were reported during this time. She was allegedly seen in New York City, New London, Connecticut, and a few other places. And of course, the FBI had to investigate each lead. Inspector Connolly knew it was a good possibility that Alice had left the area voluntarily. With that in mind, he asked agents to search passenger lists for ferries and steamships leaving New York around the time she disappeared. 24 employees of a nearby ferry company were interviewed, and 6 of them knew Alice Parsons personally because she had used the ferry and they knew her, and none had seen her. Alice's brothers did not feel she would go off on her own. They also didn't observe any impropriety between Anna and William. Both thought that Alice had been kidnapped and that it had possibly gone wrong. Because you have to remember, this is not that far off in years from the Lindbergh baby kidnapping.
Oh,
which
wow.
was a kidnapping gone wrong.
I did not think about that. And
Although
that
I've
was
heard of some interesting conspiracy theories on the Lindbergh baby recently.
and
but-
that was such a big case. Such a big case.
Right. So they were like, well, it is a possibility that she was kidnapped, but something bad has happened to her.
Well, that's the whole thing. You got to get the person, get control of them, take them somewhere. That's step one. But then you also got to keep them somewhere, keep them fed.
Keep them quiet. Subdued.
Yeah, and hope that no one's abusing them in any form while they're being held captive.
One thing became clear to Inspector Connolly. Statements made by William, Anna, and Roy had many contradictions and inconsistencies. The FBI became focused on Anna as the primary suspect, with William as an accomplice. The shift to Anna as prime suspect was based on 3 facts. No further contact with the kidnappers had taken place since the 2 weeks had passed when they'd found that ransom note. The 3 sheets of paper in Roy's bedroom contained the same watermark as the ransom note, and both William and Anna had told numerous lies over this 2-week period of time. Instead of confronting them on their lies, Connolly had a strategy. He's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah, I gotta say, they've used some pretty great techniques, being in the 1930s here in their investigation, and just the way they're thinking about this and approaching the questioning and stuff of suspects. I think they're doing a pretty good job.
Anna had been lying long before she entered the United States, Connolly discovered. Her immigration record showed many lies, from stating that her ex-husband was already in the country with their 3 children.
Okay.
Which was a big lie that she'd put down on some paperwork. She had lied about her infidelity and how she saw a divorce, or how he had sought a divorce after admitting to an affair. They had letters. Alexander was like, here's letters she wrote me while she was in England.
Boom.
Roy was also, as we know, not her husband's child. And she had been willing to tell law enforcement these lies regarding Alice. And she had also lied on government applications for citizenship. She had already been in the habit of lying to the U.S. government. And it had continued even after Alice's disappearance. So Connolly is, aware she's a liar. She's a pathological liar. And she doesn't have any problems lying to cops, to government officials, however serves her best, right?
Anna, you're a damn lie.
Yes.
And she's not afraid to lie on official documents or anything.
No.
And so in the investigator's mind, that means that they probably don't trust her at all.
Right. Anna had also initially been unable to supply a description of the couple that Alice had left with. To being able to give a full, very detailed picture of the couple, though they had never gotten out of the car, she could describe in detail, how they looked, what they were wearing, their body type.
So here's this coordinate.
Specific marks, like a mole or a scar, things that you would not see out of someone sitting in a car some feet away from you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Anna wants us to believe that Alice left with this strange couple. She had no idea who they were, never seen them before. And you would think if this was true, this couple Anna had never met, that there would be an introduction. Hey guys, this is such and such. This is my housekeeper, Anna, or whatever. Or even as she's leaving, hey, I'm going to go with them. That's so and so. I'm going to go with them for this reason. You would think there's some kind of a description of who the people are and why she's leaving with them, instead of just randomly doing it and then supposedly going over to to this rental. It just seems very strange.
Anna also claimed that she had the license plate number now.
Okay, well that should be all you need.
She slipped her mind on the day that Alice disappeared and they first called police.
Okay.
Anna also said that Alice had left the parked car behind the house. Remember, she had parked the Dodge, and that she had not moved it. That Anna had not moved it because she didn't know how to drive. Yet police were able to determine that the car had been moved that morning. The trash pickup worker said that the Dodge was in the garage when he came to fetch the trash, and that the only person he had seen was Anna.
Well,
now remember, Anna's saying, oh yeah, Alice, she carried these feathers out, and
oh yeah, oh shit.
Now that's their version of what happened that morning.
And see, why does the trash guy got any reason to lie? I mean, he really doesn't.
The trash man, this worker, also believed that Anna was the only person in the house at the time of the trash pickup, which disputed the story that Anna had told about Alice being there to hold the door while she handed this box of feathers out to this fella. One of Anna's longtime friends was able to provide letters written by her stating that she knew how to drive and that she had often driven Roy to school. The butcher had also seen Anna driving in town on at least 3 occasions, despite her claim that she had no knowledge of driving. And William had also backed up this story that Anna was learning to drive, but that she didn't really know how to drive.
Not only did I see her driving, I think she likes driving. Okay? So don't let her tell you anything else about it.
I'm like Eddie Rabbit. I'm driving my life away.
Damn right.
You know, I hate to drive.
You don't care to drive.
You know, I loved driving when I was young. Like, I didn't care. I'd get in a car and drive 12 hours and it didn't faze me at all. But now I fucking hate to drive.
You don't even want to drive around town.
I don't.
You just hand it over to me.
I just want to be chauffeured. Well,
yeah.
I'm not letting you drive my car, though.
Driving Miss Heather.
I know. I just want someone to drive me.
Okay.
It really stresses me out now. I don't like it.
You have road rage, too, I must say.
I do.
Yeah. You're ready to go.
Because people are terrible drivers.
Well, that's true.
Nobody pays attention. And the thing that I hate people who weave in and out of traffic. Because all they do is cause accidents. And
yeah.
It pisses me off.
And then you end up in a lot, but like 2 cars behind them, like 5 miles down the road.
Yeah,
so they did all that.
They did all this risky
and they
shit,
didn't gain a shit.
And then you end up next to them at the stoplight. And I'm looking at them like, you dumb fuck.
And they know that you saw them do that dumb shit back there on the interstate.
Yes.
And they won't even look at you.
It pisses me off.
And, I hate the people who do dumb shit and then look at you like you're the asshole.
Oh,
that right there
really sends
That
me.
right there is grounds for fighting.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It is.
But I'm not going to do anything because I want to get shot in the face.
Well, that's why you shoot them in the face first.
Okay, there you go.
At least 3 more. I'm ready for it to just be like the motherfucking Wild West up in
And
here.
this is why Heather does not have a gun.
Pew, pew, pew. So you think. I'm not telling you. You don't know all my
Oh my
secrets.
God. Do you have a gun in your skin wallet? It's a little.
What's the skin wallet?
It's your prison purse.
Is that like.
You and your friend went over this.
Oh, is that like my butt or something?
It's your vagina.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, big old pistol in there.
Why's it gotta be big? What's wrong with you?
Don't you want something with stopping power?
I do my kegels, okay?
She pulls out like a damn chain-fed M16 or some
Yes.
shit. That's probably not even the right gun. I don't even care. An M60, whatever Rambo shot everybody
I
with.
got like a dirty, hairy gun.
Yeah. You feel lucky, punk? It's like your vagina talking to him.
Yeah. No, I don't
Okay.
mean like it's dirty and hairy because it was like... I just mean like...
I didn't even get that double entendre
What is
there.
the gun that Dirty Harry had?
It's like a 45 Magnum
I was going to say...
long wheelbase.
Yeah, I want like a Dirty Harry gun.
You want wow.
Yeah.
Damn. You think you okay, let's move on.
That's what I want.
Wow.
And right now I just have like a little gun that's like pew, 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 pew.
Yeah, okay. It's
So
like a little Derringer.
It's a little water gun.
It's a water gun full of rum.
Yes, and I just shoot it in my mouth. The park.
Yeah.
Pretending to play with children. Now, at least 3 more witnesses in Stony Brook came forward to say that they had seen Anna driving the Parsons car all around town. Another piece of information came from Bunny Parsons, who was William's other sister-in-law, who stated that Anna had a New York driver's license and that she had actually gone to like the Division of Motor Vehicles or whatever it was at the time with Anna on the day that she passed her road test. Anna had taken the road test 2 years after entering employment at the Parsons. So at this point in time, that was back in like 1932. So at this point, Anna had been driving for about 5 years and was a licensed driver.
So why would you even lie about that in the first place? It's stupid, let alone when there's all these people that know for a fact you drive.
Because it doesn't fit the narrative that she moved the car.
Well, you could just say I didn't move the car. I didn't even go back there. You don't have to be like, I don't drive. I don't even have any arms and legs. I mean, she just keeps on.
She just can't help herself.
And it's funny to me, there's so many people ready, just dying to contradict her statements. Like, oh, yeah. I mean, there's like people coming out of the damn woodwork to prove that she does indeed drive.
Look, these people are stupid. They are not smart, and they continuously lie, especially Anna. Like, I think that she is a pathological liar.
And she thinks she's smarter than everyone else.
She thinks she's smart, and she's stupid. She's so stupid. Now, the question raised by Inspector Conley is why William and Anna were lying about these small things.
That's the whole problem.
Like, for example, when William had spoken to the inspector, he lied about going into a crowded stationery store near the train station. You know, because he had gone into the train station, bought a ticket, and then he claims he went into a stationery store and then came out to the car where his wife was waiting for him, and they sat in the car chatting until the train arrived.
Okay.
So he's saying that when he went into this crowded stationery store, that there were some men in there who looked, they looked like rough trade. They were like dirty and disheveled.
Wow.
And he's like describing how, they look very like frightening to him.
So these are the possibly the culprits in his mind.
Maybe.
These ruffians.
Maybe.
That were hanging out in the crowded stationery store.
Yes.
Because let's be honest, ruffians pass a lot of notes. So they're going to need some paper products.
Yet, when folks at the store were interviewed, they said there was nobody in the store, according to the witness who sold him a newspaper.
Not only was it not crowded, it was basically empty.
It was just William in there buying a newspaper from the stationery store.
Ah, yes. Yes.
So
again, these are easily verifiable facts that you're lying about. These statements are not that hard to run down. All you got to do is walk in the stationery store and ask the dude or the woman in there, "Hey, do you remember this the other day?" And I think this comes from thinking you're smarter than everyone in the room. And like you said, I think Anna may be at the level of she just can't even help it. She's literally like a pathological liar who just lies constantly.
I think so.
For no reason.
Inspector Connolly placed microphones in a room in the house, like secretly. Then he confronted William about Anna and shared the number of lies they knew she had told, from Roy's paternity to not being able to drive. Connolly told William, "You need to confront Anna in private about these lies," knowing that these recordings would reveal whatever their secret conversation was. That's pretty smart.
Yeah.
Now, it was clear from the beginning that the couple felt someone was trying to listen in on them. They whispered behind the closed door. Only a portion of the conversation was caught because the microphone was about 3 feet away. Mostly, Anna was admitting that the paper had come from the house, the ransom paper, so they caught that.
Well, that's pretty important.
Both took polygraphs, but were determined, these tests were determined to be inconclusive. Anna was noted as, quote, having reactions strongly pointing to the woman was actually a participant in either a kidnapping or a murder. And Williams produced similar results.
Oh, that's what allegedly the lie detector revealed?
Yes.
Okay.
But these were considered to be inconclusive because it's a polygraph.
It's a polygraph, guys.
Handwriting analysis from the FBI determined Howard, Frank, William, and Roy had not written the ransom note. Anna's handwriting matched some of the letters, but the FBI needed more handwriting specimens from Anna to make a definitive match. Alice's Aunt Bess arrived at the farm and started to take inventory of her niece's personal items. Among the items that were missing was a handmade nightgown that she had given Alice as a gift. Aunt Bess didn't believe a word of William or Anna's story, and she thought her niece might have gone missing at night while she was wearing that nightgown.
Oh, okay.
So her theory is that that Anna and William did something to Alice
in the middle of the night.
Right.
Right.
And then they play out this whole day, June 9th, like this is, it's just a regular day. And no, she was in town and she took me to the train station and whatever. But really, she had gone missing the night before.
Right.
Or sometime in the middle of the night.
She never made it to town. She didn't do anything that day because she was already missing.
Yes. A new bit of evidence came to light in July. So we've got, several weeks passing at this point. The assistant district attorney informed Inspector Connolly that he had taken it upon himself to send those handwriting samples along with the ransom note to the top experts in the country. They were Osborne and Osborne. Their office is located in New York City. And they had helped with the Lindbergh kidnapping only a few years before. That agency had determined Anna had written the ransom note based on their expert opinion.
Okay.
This caused quite a stir with the FBI. Inspector Connolly felt the handwriting analysis might not be enough to convince Anna to tell him where Alice's body was hidden. The FBI decided to stay the course with their investigation, regardless of whether the Osbornes had a definitive ID on the handwriting. Anna then started telling investigators that Alice and William had frequently had arguments, which she had previously denied this. She had gone along with William to say, oh yeah, they have a perfect marriage. But now she's saying otherwise. These arguments lasted until the early morning hours and were usually centered around Alice's desire for a child, which William said he was too old to have a child and that it was also too late for her to bear children. Anna went on to say Alice's desire for a child was so profound that she had shown signs of mental derangement, including obsessively knitting baby items. Thinking, part of it was like she was knitting these baby items, convinced that she was pregnant, and then when she would find out she wasn't, she would go into town and sell these baby items, according to Anna.
Oh, and then go through the cycle all over again?
Yes.
Okay.
Anna now claimed that Alice had pulled a Gone Girl, that Alice had staged her disappearance to look like a kidnapping. Anna claimed that Alice sought to get $25,000 for living expenses and would eventually return to divorce William. Now, this is a woman who has her own money. I mean, she's got money in a trust, but she comes from money.
Yeah, I was going to say her uncle. And
her Aunt Bess is loaded, and they're very, very close. I mean, if Alice had wanted or needed money, she could have gotten her hands on money.
Well, Anna's just trying to tell the truth. The truth she knows.
Then Anna raised questions about William's mental capacity and told investigators that he had threatened suicide before. To further sell the Gone Girl narrative, Alice and William allegedly had such vicious fights they bordered on violence. Mrs. Parsons likely ran off with a younger man and wouldn't return, according to Anna.
I mean, that makes total sense, right?
Yes.
And she didn't need to drive, that's who came to get her, was her new guy and his sister. Everybody's kicking it with their sister.
Even though they were middle-aged people.
Yeah. Well,
now they're going to be young because her story changes.
Well, yeah.
The established timeline seemed to show that Alice was not at the farm beyond 8 a.m. on the morning of her disappearance. No witnesses had seen her past that time, and when the phone was answered, it was done by Anna, not Alice, throughout the day. Inspector Connolly theorized that Anna had used the car to move Alice's body on the morning of her disappearance. 15 days before Alice's disappearance, William Parsons had purchased the bottle of chloroform from Kane's pharmacy. Now, Mr. Parsons denied ever meeting Mr. Kane, who owned the pharmacy. Despite having a sales record which listed Mr. Parsons purchasing this chloroform, William adamantly denied purchasing the chloroform and stated he had never once entered Kane's pharmacy. Anna also denied ever seeing chloroform in the house, despite the initial investigator making a note of it.
Well, see, that's what I'm talking about. You can't, they're not smart at all. Again, something easily verifiable.
Again, the couple were allowed to speak alone, which this is also a room set up with a recording device.
Yeah, well, they're like, will you please go talk by the pink lamp?
But they both began to counsel each other against making admissions to law enforcement.
Which is what innocent people do.
Connolly was convinced that William and Anna were guilty in the murder of Alice Parsons. Then there was a discovery of a woman's body floating in the Long Island Sound, and she was wearing a blue dress, which Anna had reported earlier that Alice had been wearing a blue dress when she left with that couple. William Parsons told Connolly, quote, "I have nothing to live for. Can I say to you that I killed my wife, that I chloroformed her?" He then went on to say he wanted to protect Roy from all of this. William would make a confession if it meant being executed right away so that this thing could be over with.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Parsons insisted that he was responsible for Alice's death, but that he did not kill her. He then admitted that he and Anna had been, quote, living together as a man and wife, and that they were using contraceptives he had purchased. But Inspector Connolly already knew this information because during a search, They found a cesspool on the property that was filled with used condoms.
Ew. A used condom filled cesspool, a literal cesspool. And like anyone else who goes and looks in the cesspool is going to see the condoms, right? Because I can't imagine unless they had to sift through it or something.
Well, it sounds like there were several like cesspools and cistern type of things on this property.
This is a moist property.
Ew.
This is a damp area. Very damp.
Parsons told Inspector Connolly that tensions between Anna and Alice had been growing, and that if he tried to show any affection toward his wife, Anna would become angry. He had to hide any kindness toward Alice from Anna. Alice had only been interested in sex if it meant procreation. Otherwise, Alice had not been interested in making love, which he said pushed him to sleep with Anna. And by the way, he called Anna oversexed.
So Alice wants to make babies, not love.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like she's not interested in the sexes unless that means they're going to have a baby.
Now we're watching the Love and Death.
Yes.
We're going to discuss that soon on the
That is part of our Mountain Murders Movie Club.
Yes,
on
for
Patreon. So
on
we are
Patreon.
watching the HBO series Love and Death.
And the only reason I bring it up is because one of the couples, they're trying to have a baby. And the wife is like, we got to do it right now. We got to do it this way. And I got to be honest. And I understand why, some people get into that because they're trying to, make the conditions the best they can be for conception. I get that.
You got to do it at the most fertile moments.
But I got to say that would not probably work for me. I'm not on demand guy. Things got to be right.
Yeah, trust me, I know.
I need candlelight. If you come out of blue and just like boom, it's just like, I don't know. It's weird. I know it's weird and it's not always the best setup. But it would just on demand or demanding I do these things this certain way would mess me up.
I know you're a pretty high maintenance lover.
Yeah, I know.
So part of me feels like I don't know how many other women would put up with your ass. So then I think, well, could he be cheating? Because I always have those paranoid thoughts just because my brain works that way.
Yeah, I'm not cheating.
But then I think he's so fucking weird. And he's super high maintenance. And this woman would have to like romance him and light some candles. And there'd have to be some fucking like John Coltrane playing in the background, some Barry White. And the light, there'd have to be the lighting.
Have to be in the bedroom.
And you'd have to like put rose petals on. It's a lot.
But
right?
if you do get me in the proper atmosphere, it's worth all the preamble.
It is.
Correct?
It's the best 20 seconds of your life.
Well, I'm saying. They say you
don't
can't.
Don't blink because it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can't stare directly into God's face being immortal. You would like burst into flames or whatever. And it's kind of like that. That's why it's short. Because bliss is not truly meant for us humans. And when you fly up near the sun, your wings melt.
Yeah, I'm not even really sure where we're going
You
with
know
this.
what I'm saying?
But yeah.
Yeah. But hey. Yeah. So anyway, I could see. I'm not saying that's obviously anyone should die or anything, but I could see that causing issues in a relationship. And I think oftentimes it can.
Know a couple. I'm not super close friends with them anymore, but I knew a couple that were kind of having these issues. And the husband had confided in,
someone else,
a couple of us, that he was feeling some type of way about it was not like we're doing this for pleasure because we're into each other.
It's just purely
and it becomes very like mechanical.
Inject my seed into your vagina.
Yeah. Right. And that it's not romantic and that it takes any kind of fun out of it. And you get to a point where you're just like, I feel like I'm being used. Like, I feel like a piece of meat.
Yeah.
And like, I think it can cause problems.
I think if I was a piece of meat, I'd be like ground chuck, 75-25 on the fat content.
Yeah.
Yeah, on sale.
I passed that shit in the grocery store. I ain't buying that.
I'd be like the tube of chuck.
How'd I bite? How'd I end up with this? You're like a chub.
I'm a chub of ground chuck.
Yeah.
Yes. You don't know where that was packaged at. You don't know how long that's been processed or what's been ground up there in it.
I think I'm like more of a bougie cut.
Oh, you think you're like sirloin center cuts?
No,
You're like an 80-20,
I'm a
85-15?
fucking filet mignon girl. You know this.
Oh, okay. So you that ground turkey that used to be cheap. Now it's expensive as fuck because everybody started buying it.
I'm not ground turkey either. You know you upgraded.
I like ground turkey, baby.
You had some old gristly pork chop before.
It was a Kano chops, and all I had left was the bones.
See? So you upgraded. And yeah, I'm a bougie cut of meat here.
Let's be honest. I'm a solid 8-ounce ribeye that's been trimmed properly.
I'm like a damn rump roast or something. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting hungry.
Me too. We need to eat. He admitted to buying this chloroform on May 24th, and that Anna had accompanied him to pick up a prescription at Kane's Pharmacy on this day. When Alice had gone to California the previous fall for her brother's wedding, Anna had not wanted William to write his wife letters, and he told the inspector, quote, 2 is company, 3's a crowd.
It's true. Ask Jack.
Who's Jack?
That's a reference to 3's a company. Nobody? Mr. Roper? Nobody.
Come on, knock on my door.
Come on, knock on my door. We've been waiting for you.
Look, I loved that show as a kid.
Hey.
And I totally would rip off Christy's hairstyles.
Christy wore some of the shortest shorts.
Suzanne Summers' hair. Because remember, she would do like the side ponytails and stuff.
She wore some really short knit shorts.
She was hot.
Yeah.
She was smoking hot.
She was like 70s hot. Or like 80s hot.
Yeah.
Early 80s.
No, I thought she was cute.
She was.
And who's the other ones? There was Chrissy and then the brunette. I can't remember her name. She was less cute to
Nobody
me.
talked about her.
She was like the girl next door.
She had a
kid or
weird
whatever.
haircut anyway. It was like a Joan Jett, a bad Joan Jett.
I thought she had like a weird perm
Yeah.
or something.
The-
Okay, anyway.
Talking about the black-headed one.
Dude, I have this feeling that like that 80s hair is going to come back.
You really think, and I do feel the energy behind the 80s because you have so many series and movies making it their basis.
Yeah.
And you know, going with the soundtrack and everybody's loving the fashion. You got trucker hats back in style, which I would think come from the 80s personally.
Well, those have been around.
But anyway.
Well, no, I've been seeing guys with all the little like 80s dad stashes.
Yeah.
And the short shorts for guys are
Yeah.
coming back in.
Oh, yeah.
And like the high-waisted
wait.
jeans. I mean, there's a lot of that look coming back.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with some of these shows, like for example, Love and Death,
Yeah, Stranger Things.
because there's a lot of the
Love and
fashion
Death.
from like the 1980
Yeah.
fashion in particular. And I have a feeling that's going to come back in style. And you know what? I'm here for it. I cannot wait for big hair to come back. I love hot rollers. I want some big hot rolled hair because you know they say, Dylan, the higher the hair, the closer to Jesus.
That is what they say, and I cannot wait to show these thighs off in those shorty shorts. I'm going to buy me
You
some.
really should.
Yeah, I got nice thighs.
You've got great legs.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's true. And my varicose veins are
I was
going
playing
away.
Mortal Kombat the other day, and I told my daughter if Dylan worked out, he would look like, what is his name, Kotal Khan?
Is that the most handsome one?
No, that's
on there?
like
Yeah.
that's the beefy guy that's got the big thick thighs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just need to work out. You could have that body. You got that body type.
Mm.
You know, right now I've realized you kind of have a body type of a sumo wrestler.
It's true.
I told you could probably do that.
I think I might could do that. I would be the first Westerner to reach the heights. We were talking the other day, and people was like, "What the hell's wrong with these people?" We were talking the other day
I'm
about
not sure, but I am medicated.
there's actually a show. It might be on Netflix based on the life of a sumo wrestler and
Yes.
how it works, which I'm going to watch because I find Japanese culture rather fascinating in some elements, like panties and vending machines and the milk on the naked girls, things like that.
What?
And having like a computer for a girlfriend is really weird to me. But the sumos are treated like rock stars. I mean, they really are. It's a big deal to this day. It's a big deal to be a true a winning sumo.
Look,
And-
I just want to see you in a little like loincloth, like the little diapery thing they wear,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. All right.
I think you need to air that belly out.
So Mr. Parsons is finally in what he's presenting them that he's coming clean.
Yeah.
I'll tell you everything that's happening.
He's in his feelings now. He needs to get it off his chest.
Right.
Now, William also said that Anna had demanded a contract be written up, offering her $25,000 so she could move to England.
Oh, 25,000 again.
The contract was drawn up, but William had decided not to go through with it and had torn it up. The amount was the same as in the ransom note. Anna had planned for the three, meaning herself, Roy, and William, to move to Europe together.
And let's remember, folks, I'm sure you do, this is the 1930s. $25,000 is a large sum of money.
Or if they didn't go to Europe, they could go to Canada. And she wanted to do this as soon as Alice's estate was settled. William thought he might become Anna's next victim if he followed her out of the country. He said Anna kept repeating Alice's disappearance was, quote, fate.
Oh, God.
So at this point, he's fully cooperating and also seemed sold on the idea that Anna had been responsible for murdering his wife, Alice.
So he's laying everything at Anna's door.
Caught on microphone later, Anna would tell William to, quote, do what I tell you, understand? That's all there is to it. You can't go to jail. I know something you don't know. That's what she said to him.
Not strange at all.
Yes.
I love the fact they have this ongoing wiretap. And very low technology, but it's working. Yeah, I think that's great when they think that. I think it's wonderful when people are confessing to like this dirty, evil shit they did and they're being secretly recorded. I think that is an awesome thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Anna also admitted on this secret recording that she destroyed the bottle of chloroform so the FBI wouldn't have it.
Oh my gosh, that's damning evidence.
Anna said whatever happened to Alice, she said, quote, we're not murderers until murder is proven.
Oh, it's almost like if you don't open the box, is the cat even in there? Or is it even alive? Does the cat exist until you open the box? Right?
What is that, Schrodinger's
I think it's
cat
yeah.
or something?
Yeah, so like a thought exercise.
Yeah, I guess I never really understood what that was all about.
Well, it's like it's basically like if the tree falls in the forest, does it make, and no one's there to hear it, does it make noise? Well, you got to look at the definition of noise. Does someone have to hear it to be noise, or is it just noise regardless, irregardless?
Oh, please don't say irregardless.
Yes. That is without regard. Okay, double timed.
Anna seemed to have control and dominance over William, and William was obviously in love with her. Only 2 days later, William retracted his statements and confession. Taking back incriminating statements and confession, that rarely works as a defense in criminal proceedings.
Yeah, but like, I was just kidding about that.
But the evidence they had was mostly circumstantial. The FBI needed the body of Alice Parsons.
Yeah, and that's a reoccurring theme in almost any murder investigation to this day.
Yeah, I mean, there are very few cases where they can prove murder without a body.
Now, I do, even as a juror, I would agree that a ton of circumstantial evidence.
Well, it's still evidence.
It is evidence, and it just kind of piles up. And at a certain point, the likelihood of it being someone else after, coincidence after coincidence seems like very unlikely to me.
You're right about that, Dylan. Now, by July 16th, due to the high emotional stress, the relationship between Anna and William, once it's revealed to the family, it's causing a significant amount of drama, as you can imagine. You've got William's brother, his sister, their spouses as part of this family. Then you've got Alice Parsons' brother. He's come from California. Her other brother, Frank, is there. Their wives are present. We've got Aunt Bess,
who has not trusted Anna off the rip from the beginning.
Exactly. So this is not good. So at this point, Anna moves off the farm. William moves her into a YWCA in New York City.
A YWCA?
Yes.
Okay.
She's not happy about this. She does not like these accommodations whatsoever.
I did not know you could live at the Y.
Well, yeah, you can have a good meal, do whatever you feel.
You can swim, go play some basketball.
Well, yeah, but I think back in the day, like, you could stay at the Y.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if they had little rooms for rent or if it was like a dorm style, but you could, thank you for that, Rufus, you could stay at the Y.
Okay. So this is not what she's used to.
Oh, no, she don't like this.
And she does not care for it.
She is of a superiority complex. She does not like this. Roy was sent to a boys' summer camp because, again, they are trying to, kind of shield him from what's happening. From a distance, Anna continued to manipulate William. In a letter that she'd written to him, she claimed to have many suitors in New York City and that they had offered her money and bonds to get married.
Bonds?
And I just don't even believe it, Dylan, because I've
Government
seen
bonds?
Anna's picture and I have a hard time believing that men are falling at her feet.
She may have a great personality.
She's no like Ava Gardner.
Or wait a second, she doesn't even have a good personality. She's kind of a bitch.
She's a bitch.
And she is not the.
She's
she doesn't
not the belle of the ball.
She does not turn heads as she walks down the street. Let's just say
No.
that. So I think once again, this is just pure manipulation on her part to keep William guessing and maybe have him show her more affection and attention. Because I'm going to guess.
And she's also doing this because she doesn't want to live at the Y.
Right.
So she's trying all the ways to get him to move her to better accommodations, to get her an apartment.
And I'm going to guess once she did get moved off the farm into the Y, their relationship probably slowed way down as far as how often they see each other, how often they talk. It's not like nowadays where you can stay in constant contact.
Right, Dylan.
And I don't think Anna likes that.
Now,
I think
in the meantime, no, you're right.
she's a control freak.
No, absolutely. So in the meantime, while she's living at the Y, a letter arrives from from a kidnapper.
Another letter from the kidnapper.
Yes. Now, this is the first time that a letter has arrived since the ransom note. This is the first contact.
Okay.
And this one is typed. Now, it's very odd, Dylan, but a third letter from the kidnapper was also mailed to Anna's friend.
Wow.
It's amazing that the kidnapper just knew where to find Anna's friends.
And they learned their lesson about handwriting letters, too, as well.
Yeah.
Way to go, kidnappers.
And the letter was mailed from New Jersey. The letter was signed by someone named Mary, who claimed that Alice had died of pneumonia due to exposure and that she had passed away on July 9th.
So we kidnapped Alice. We had her. We never were able to arrange any kind of a ransom drop. And she just happened to die of natural causes.
Of pneumonia.
Which is
The
terrible.
damnedest thing that happened in July.
Maybe we shouldn't have tied her under the porch in a cold wind. I don't know.
These letters were written by Paul and Mary Jones. They were siblings, allegedly, and they claimed they had been in the car with Alice on the day of her disappearance.
Oh, wow. So this is the kidnappers giving basically a description of themselves.
Yes, Paul and Mary Jones.
Putting them, and it's very, this is a thing
The dynamic brother and sister duo.
of kidnappers.
Yeah.
This happens a lot.
They're like the Carpenters, but like without the musical talent.
You'll see this a lot with brothers and sisters when they're in business together to become kidnappers. Because, who else would you want to be a kidnapper with?
Who can you trust,
It's true.
right?
And so now they're identifying themselves, basically saying we were the mysterious couple in the car with Alice the day she left her home and was never seen again.
Yes.
And this is our name, by the way, too. Our first and last name. What the
It's very clever.
Okay.
I love that their last name is Jones too.
Yeah.
Like, what else?
Smith.
I'm
Yes.
like, what is the other name that we could throw out there besides Jones? Smith. Okay, so William finally helped Anna move from the YWCA to better accommodations at the home of a Russian baroness.
Oh, wow.
I believe his brother-in-law helped him make this connection or something. But the Baroness quickly became disillusioned with Anna's late-night visits with some unknown male. Now, I'm wondering if this unknown male is William visiting her late at night, or if Anna's already found her somebody else to make a house call.
Maybe it's one of the Y suitors.
Maybe.
That
Maybe it's Paul Jones, the kidnapper.
they pursued her so hard. They just wouldn't let it go.
Well, it's just because she's such hot stuff.
She is.
Okay. Bessie, now if you remember that's Alice's aunt, had made it very clear that Anna was not welcome at the farm. And she thought she had the right to make this demand because she was paying the mortgage on the farm.
So we got Anna out of here, and I don't want her back ever.
Nope.
Okay.
And the thing is, William didn't have enough money to run the farm and also rent Anna an apartment. Like, he could either run the farm or he could rent her a place to live, but he didn't have money to do both
So his money's running low.
because he was essentially living off of his wife. He was living off Alice.
Yeah, I know. He was. That's the entire time. I kind of got that feeling that they have this. What is it, Schwab paste business? I'm going to assume that's some type of
Inspector
delicacy.
Connolly noted it. He's like, this is a man who has a hobby business and is living off his wife.
Yeah. He was kind of riding her coattails the entire time.
Yes. So William asked his brother if he would take Anna on as a housekeeper and pay her $40 a month so she would have a place to live rent-free. But Bunny Parsons quickly squashed this suggestion. Bunny had no intentions of letting Anna anywhere near her house. And Bunny had also recently had a baby. And she was like, no way am I going to let Anna take care of my child.
I don't know who in the world thought Bunny was going to want anything to do with Anna.
No. But little did they know, Anna had been being monitored by the FBI. Surveillance was installed at every place she moved. Finally, William wanted Anna to return to the farm and made his intentions known that I'm going to move her back here. And when he did this, his lawyer told him, I won't represent you as a client if you bring this woman back to the farm.
That's because
I will fire you as a client.
His lawyer knows how bad this looks. I mean, you're really just sticking the nail in your own defense with this, honestly, because when they bring that out in court, it's just not going to look good. It's just not good.
It's not good, Dylan.
No, it's not good. Nothing about it is good.
There's no goodliness here. Now, William's relationship with Anna took a toll on his familial relations with his brother John and his sister-in-law Bunny. I mean, they were not happy with any of this situation. They were mad that he moved off the farm,
Mad that he's still messing with Anna.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I hadn't gotten to that part yet. But yes.
I mean, just as
they're
far as...
they're pissed off. So he had borrowed some money from his sister Laura Pratt, to cover some of his legal fees. And she had made it very clear, if I loan you any money, like, you are not allowed to give Anna money.
See, nobody.
This is not for Anna.
Nobody's pro Anna. No one. His people, Alice's people, his friends, no one is like, yeah, you should keep messing with Anna. She's helping your situation out. Everyone is against it. That should tell them something.
Well, William went behind Laura's back and gave Anna $5,000 for her own legal defense, and then moved his stuff to a boarding house where he was going to stay with Anna. So he left the farm to go live with Anna in a boarding house. And again, this is causing some major problems with his family. They do not like this.
Who's going to paste the swabs up now?
Who's going to paste the swabs? You mean the squabs?
The squabs.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't think I'll ever get that right.
You're goofy.
Squab, Schwab, Charles Schwab. Who cares?
Now, after they move into a boarding house, another letter arrives from the kidnappers.
Months later.
This time, it contains a pin supposedly worn by Alice. So I'm guessing like a little brooch or something, right? Yet Bunny Parsons identified the pin as belonging to Anna. And Aunt Bessie, didn't recognize it at all. And like, Aunt Bessie and Alice were really close. So like, Aunt Bessie would have known what was in Alice's jewelry box. She would know Alice's jewelry. And
right.
She knew this pin did not belong to Alice. And Bunny Parsons, hey, that pin belongs to Anna. I've seen her wear it before. I mean, how stupid is she? How stupid is Anna? I mean, she just keeps making these really stupid decisions.
I mean, honestly, but what do you think is going to be gained by this third letter? I mean, it's literally the kidnappers proving your points that they've been grilling you about. I mean, what's the odds of that?
Well, the boarding house had been wired, so they were able to get some recordings from the boarding house. And these conversations revealed William telling Anna that the time since Alice had been gone was the best of his life, and expressed, because they had spent these 6 years together, he was hoping for 6 more years.
Oh, that's so sweet.
He told her he wanted to get married, but didn't want to wait 7 years to have his wife declared dead.
Okay.
So at this point, it's becoming clear to the couple that without a body, there was no way to settle Alice's estate, which meant no inheritance and no way for the lovebirds to move to Europe or Canada.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Mm-hmm.
Please tell me they're not going to do what I think they're going to do now, because we need the body to show up.
Well, baby, we've
God.
got a part 2 coming.
Man, like, you're right. There is a bunch of dumb shit in here, but it's necessary to the story.
I mean, I just want to tell the whole story
Yeah.
because, like I said, this is just bizarre. And these are some dumbass criminals.
Oh my gosh.
Now, even after Alice was declared legally dead in 7 years, her remaining relatives could contest the will. Bessie and Frank Jr. sent a letter to William letting him know they planned to file for a new conservator to take over Alice's estate.
They're not going to let it go.
Alice owned half the farm, and Bessie held the mortgage, so there was little chance that William would get any substantial funds from the sale of the property. Everyone thought the minute William ran out of money, Anna would leave him, and that once Anna left William, he would no longer protect her, and that would be the best shot at finding out what happened to Alice and recovering Alice's remains.
Right. When they kind of turn on each other.
Now, that is where I'm going to leave you.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, this wraps up part 1, and we have part 2 coming out very soon. So not to leave you hanging on this note, but yeah, we got a whole second part coming.
Oh my gosh. Oh, geez. Anna and William. Why y'all so stupid? Why are you so stupid?
That is the question.
And then they received a 4th letter from the kidnappers saying that Anna and William did not do anything to harm Alice. They, in fact, are the ones that harmed
Then
Alice.
you find that, like, Anna has cut off her ponytail and she's mailed it from the kidnappers claiming it's Alice's ponytail,
Yeah.
even though Alice's hair was a completely different color.
Yeah,
Maybe
and now
that
she's
works.
like short-haired and
Yeah.
stuff, but she tries to act like nobody notices.
Yes.
She wears bonnets
I
all
mean,
the time.
is that what's a bonnet? I want a bonnet. We talked about this before.
You would look good, great in a
I'm
bonnet.
going to buy a damn bonnet.
All right, well, thank you for that, Heather.
You're welcome.
I can't wait to see how this wraps up.
Right?
I'm sure there's going to be some more shenanigans.
It is a wild and crazy story. Well, before we close up shop, Dylan, this very lengthy part 1 episode, I wanted to give you my resources for this case. I've read a book by Stephen Drylack called Long Island's Vanished Heiress, The Unsolved Alice Parsons Kidnapping. And I have also utilized several newspaper articles of the day.
I must admit, for being this many years ago, you found quite a bit of information about this case.
Yes.
Sometimes that's tough for you on these older cases. And I would like to thank our sponsors of today's show again, Robin, John, and Heather. Thank you very much for sponsoring us.
Much.
If you would like to join them over there at patreon.com/Mountain Murders Podcast, you will find all kinds of ad-free and extra content. You can also get access to our Discord chat where we get personal.
Do we?
No, we don't get. Yeah, it is personal.
We do get.
Everybody there gets personal.
This is like a family.
It's like our fam. It's our family.
And can I just say, we had a little party at our house over the weekend, and we invited a few listeners and had the best time.
Yes, we did.
So thank you, Maddie
Yep.
and Mary
Yo.
and Kat
Yo.
and Kim
Yo.
for showing up.
Oh my God.
It was really fun to be around some of our Mountain Murders folks.
It was a blast. We had a great time. And we really wish we could do like some kind of national tour where we could meet people all over.
Yeah, I know. I mean, wouldn't that be cool?
Or a worldwide tour.
I bet, you know what, Dylan? I bet some of those big name podcasts, like My Least Favorite Murder, they're probably not having parties and inviting listeners over.
If they do,
Just
then
saying.
nobody shows up because they're not cool as we are.
That's true.
Yeah. So thanks again to today's sponsor, and thanks to everyone that tuned in to listen.
I cannot wait to bring you part 2.
I can't wait
of
either.
This wild story.
So Heather's really amped up about this. So if she has it wrapped up, we just may squeak it in on our midweek because I don't know if she can wait till next week. But we'll see what happens.
We're gonna have to
folks.
wait. We have some listener stories coming coming out this week.
We're finally doing the listener stories.
We've got the listener stories. We're making it happen.
All right, you're going to have to wait till next week for this, and I've got to wait too because I don't know what the hell's going on.
You never do.
All right, until next time.
Bye.
Bye.